thing.
That's hilarious.
And there's only more coming on. You know, Cerece, remember the Evil Dead with Ash?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's coming.
Comic-Con, yeah, the whole thing.
Well,
so here we go. Here's another one. They're bringing every Ash and the
Ash versus the what was it? The Evil Dead.
Evil Dead. I like Bruce Campbell and all that, but now it's just like, oh boy, here we go.
That's how they revived his career. That's the.
But at least with sci-fi, it's always a different look, a different twist.
Well, you know, as a publisher and a writer,
some writers they do repeat stuff we've seen before. It's like, all right, you're giving me another Star Trek. You're giving me another Battlestar Galactica.
They have references for that. Yeah.
Speaking of like rehashing, though, I guess this makes a really awesome transition. Is that the new Halo is coming out on the 27th of this month, and people are kind of saying the same thing with that. Oh, it's just another rehashed. You know, it's the same thing. It's not going to be, different. Yet we have those people who are diehard fans, just in the same with The Walking Dead, who are just like, no, I'm gonna be there. Midnight release. I need this game. So the trend of these diehard fans and the rehashing is not just in the TV world. It's in video games now too.
It's in everything.
Same with the comics. It's just like, where's the originality? We need these independent artists to come out here and take over, because I'm tired of this mainstream crap.
They're afraid to take a chance with new things. It's like when it comes to Halo, I'm one of those people. I'm just like, dude, I don't care. I haven't cared since 2. Like,
get it out of my face. You get what I'm saying, though, Drew.
So on this, I can understand. I don't agree with everything, but it's like when it comes to certain brands, you can tell what they've tried to create. And while Bungie, they did create a workable
let's not talk about Destiny. That we don't.
Yeah, then they do it again with Destiny, because they take the points of Halo that worked, and then they try to do it again with a fresh coat of paint. I'm like, dude, get out of here with that.
I gotta ask a question only because, this having to do with, because Cerece, you're not just a writer, you're a publisher also, and that makes it a little different, because at the end of the day, you decide how this is going to be used, what's going to happen with it. You have 100% control of the work.
Woman in power. Yes.
Yeah. Woohoo! So, is there a limit for you? Like, do you say, I'm open to films, but I'm not trying to do a video game, or I'm open to that and that? Is there anything particular that you say is too much?
No,
or the more the merrier?
I'm open to any sort of manifestation of my work, but here's how I decide.
Okay.
Like, if I were to do a movie or a film, or if that opportunity came up, what am I adding? Because it's not about milking, okay, you read the book, you know what happened. Now see exactly what you read in the book in the movie. I mean, that's okay, and some people do that, and I have a sort of comment about why people aren't doing so much, originality, but I think for me it's about adding. If I did a game, how would that add to the understanding that you get from the books? Or what story didn't I have time to tell? And there are tons of things I didn't have the ability to put in the book that I could then do something else with. But it has to add to the experience. So I think that's kind of my criteria for how whatever might be next. I'm not just going to do Order of the Seers, the graphic novel. Like, now you have pictures. Because the truth is, the pictures in your head are better than the pictures that somebody else's. Because it's personal and it's completely, custom made to you. So I can't do better than that. But this whole idea of, constantly doing the rehash and the sequel and the prequel and the, all of that stuff, it's just, the big publishers, the big movie studios, the big game, they're sort of, the risk of doing something different and then not finding their audience becomes too great. They don't want to do that. So what they want to do is they know you love Halo, and so they're going to do Halo like 5,700,000.
Yeah.
Because that's safe.
It's safe.
But the great thing about being an indie artist is that the barriers to putting your stuff out there in publishing and gaming and even independent film, which is such an exciting sort of realm to be in right now, the barriers to putting your stuff out there, the cost is less and less and less. And it's not cheap by any means, but because it's getting less and less, and those barriers and how we get it out to you, there's Twitter, there's YouTube, there's all this stuff. Like now, if you can get some really juicy stuff, the barrier that we as independent artists and then publishers are facing is how do we get our stuff to you who, are tired of, the same old thing rehashed and repackaged 15 million ways. And that still is a challenge. But that's why they just don't want to, I just saw Mission Impossible, 1200 with my husband. And it was exactly what I wanted. There were no surprises. The dialogue was unintentionally funny. Like, I wasn't stressed afterwards. It was fine.
Yeah.
But, they'd rather put $100 million into that than risk it on some new, really unique sci-fi film that might only cost them $2 million to do.
And I think that the blame there's enough blame to be had on that one on all sides. But as fans and as creators ourselves, if we're going to get away from this trend of just doing temples and just doing reboots and just spackling new bits of paint on an old idea, people have to actually go out and support it. So the anime industry
Don't support the John Carter movie.
You have to know about it.
Yeah, you have to know about it. You have to go and support it. The anime industry is under fire right now because they're not making monies and they're doing just projects that are safe, like you said, Cerece. And people are bored with it. They're tired of seeing magical girls and, magical girls, giant robots, and fan service animes for the most part.
That's the cycle.
That's the endless cycle.
The vicious circle it's in. If you make money, Hollywood's gonna be like, all right, it's what they want. It's like right now. Oh, they want superhero things. All right, give them superhero things. Flooded, and then what happens?
Then
people stop going. They're getting sick of it. Oh, then they're gonna stop doing superhero movies because Hollywood's gonna turn and say, well, look, we gave you these last 5 and they bombed. So obviously you guys don't want it.
Yeah.
Then your options are twofold. You either can step aside and try something.
They have to do that because let's face it, it's big business. They gotta get the money up there. You think the Disney shareholders are happy about Tomorrowland, Lone Ranger, and John Carter bombing each of them $200 million? Oh no, the shareholders don't like that.
Then the options are thus: you either support something new or enjoy the crap sandwich that you've enjoyed. It's either support something new or keep eating the same old crap. So it's really that simple.
He said 2 minutes.
See,
He's putting more gas.
I get so frustrated though because everyone gets upset about the same old thing, but then we lose our minds when they try to do something different. Like how everyone's freaking out about the new Suicide Squad and everyone's freaking out about the new Apocalypse stuff, and that's them trying to add to the story. Yet you have all the fan guys and fan girls are just like, keep it to the same thing. We want the token. We want the token arc. We want the main story. We don't want anything extra. Why are you ruining it? So it's just like a catch-22. It's like you can't be creative, but you can't stray away from what the main story is. That's what independent artists, they have more leeway because they are in direct contact with those writers. They are when you have a Marvel and stuff like that, everyone's so hesitant oh, this isn't coming from Stan Lee. This isn't coming from, the writer of Batman. This isn't coming from them. This is the producers of the movie making it up. Well, independent artists, when I go see this movie or I'm going to play this game, it's an extension of the writing. You get that feeling. And the only way for other people to get involved with that is to extend into maybe other outlets and just get the characters out there, get the art out there, get that face. You need a face, an icon or something, because it's kind of just so massive, the independent community. There's not one thing to latch onto. There's just so many choices. I think we get overwhelmed and then we abstain from everything, which sucks. It really sucks.
And Cerece,
really
what seems to be working for you at this point? Because it keeps growing and growing and growing. To the point that when you met Constantine was like, oh, my daughter already has your book,
It's just being consistent. I mean, I think, it's being consistent and meeting the fans and just keep putting work out there. You know what I mean? I think, I'm floored anytime anybody's ever heard of Order of the Seers. So, from my standpoint, I'm like, is it working? But I can't, that's not something I can control. You know what I mean? So in a way, I don't worry about it. I just keep putting my work out there and having faith and doing the best that I can, trying to go to places where I think people who might like my stuff are like Comic-Cons. But I think consistency is key. And gosh, this is going to sound, but just not taking anything for granted. I think a lot of times, you know, I'll see independent artists that throw something up on YouTube and it's like a field of dreams. You know what I mean? It's like, well, I put it out there and then people will find it. People won't find it. Like, you got to be behind it. And
Yeah.
one thing Ava DuVernay said about her film experience, and she's like, you know, it's amazing to me that people spend their hearts and their souls creating these independent projects, and then they just throw it up on YouTube and that's it. They have no plans to market it. They have not thought about how anybody's going to see it. And that's the part that's scary. But I think a big thing is that, you know, I was thinking about this for Comic-Con. The big guys aren't a big deal because you think they're a big deal at first. The big guys are a big deal because they make themselves a big deal. They inundate themselves with their image and their this and their that until you start thinking, well, God, I keep seeing this.
And
this must be a big deal. It literally is cognitive suggestion.
Yeah,
So
and all the while, they're using the same media vectors that everyone else has access to between Twitter, Tumblr, Facebook, anything. It's the same methods. And then maybe like billboards or something like that to add fluff. But it's like, it's the same thing.
Well, now it's the same thing. It's more of the same thing. But, you know, I can't get a big billboard like Constantine. We all remember last year's Constantine. You know what I mean? But I just, you know, they have more money to do it than I do. But it's that idea of just being out there and just remembering that nobody is, they might want you, but they're not looking for you. So you got to find there. You got to get that presence. And the barriers to doing that, like you said, with Twitter, YouTube, you know, Facebook, whatever, are less and less. So
before we run out of time,
we
have to plug what's coming up. But before, I would like to ask Constantine a question. Again, you're an artist. You're a visual artist. You can draw all the different things.
You've seen them
that we've spoken about, right? Now, from the old school to the new school, again, from pop culture to the indie. What side of the fence tends to inspire you with drawing all these things?
Oh, indie.
By far, independent artists.
Because we've had a few shows where I kind of ranted and I couldn't help it.
Right.
That the big boys, they just rip each other off, and it's always the same thing. I mean, how many guys have we seen with the power of fire or ice or shoot me?
I thought that was original. No?
Yeah, it's original. But then you get someone who comes along who no one is giving a break to, and then, I don't know, she writes something like Harry Potter, and she's, you know.
Right.
And then last week, come to think of it, was the 56th anniversary of The Twilight Zone. Rod Serling, let everybody out there know, Rod Serling was rejected 50 times as a writer. We're talking about one of the most prolific science fiction writers of all time. 50. That's 50 publishers, editors, whatever, saying this guy was no good.
Wow.
J.K. Rowling was rejected over, I think, 100 times.
Yep.
Before, yep.
And now it is
Well,
what it is.
J.K. Rowling, but she wrote one thing.
Yeah.
What?
He tried.
Look at Sterling.
Sterling did a lot of stuff that got rejected.
It was everywhere. I mean,
and everybody borrowed from him.
With him
Everybody.
Too, you know?
Oh, he's a sci-fi staple now. He's never going to go anywhere. Like, there's been so much written.
Again, you know, I stick with the indies, and that's why, you know, I'm always supporting the indies first. At the Comic-Con, I always hit the indies. I don't bother.
And that is a